Ben, they caught me slipping, man. They caught me slipping. I worked Thanksgiving, came home to a meal, and me and the couch got real intimate. And I wasn't snoring. Might have been some drool coming down, but they caught me slipping on the couch, laughing at me, taking photos. They almost painted a mustache on me, but it didn't go that far. I already got a mustache, so.
Oh, brutal, man. When you say they, was this family? Like, was this a kid or the wife?
It was family and friends.
Well, I should have like, was it like immediate family or was it like?
The person who took the photo was one of my close friends, so it wasn't family necessarily.
Okay, like I wasn't sure if it was like a cousin, uncle, or something like that.
Other people was passed out. Why are they picking on me?
I don't know, man. That's cold. You want to know what happened to me on Thanksgiving?
I do.
I got hit with so what you about to do? And if you don't know, that means it's time to leave that person's house. I got that from my mother.
You got to get your shoes on.
Yeah, I got that from my mother. It was only like 6:32. So what you about to do?
I hope you had your to-go plate already made because it's time to hit the door at that point.
The to-go plate was ready. Everything was already packed up. So I should have known then. It was like halftime of the Cowboys game. She hit me with so what you about to do? So I should have known it was time to go at that point. Hey, it happens.
Hey, shout out Mom Dukes. Boom, boom, boom. Open up. It's the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. Wilmute Works. Danny Pommells. Our guy Noah Levick is not with us today. It is Ben Berry stepping up in his stead, our producer extraordinaire. You know, he does a lot of stuff for us, wears many different hats, and he is stepping up to talk some Sixers as here we are with the return of Joel Embiid, bro. The Atlanta Hawks got the worst of it for sure. 38-7 from the big fella, 11 of 12 from the free throw line. The Sixers have won 4 of their last 5 games, Ben, and man, it was a historic night for Joel Embiid because last night was his 122nd 30-point game as a member of the 76ers, tying Julius Erving on the list, and above him are Hal Greer, Charles Barkley, and Allen Iverson. And Allen Iverson has over 300 30-point games for the 76ers. So a ways for Joel Embiid to go to get to the top of the list. But fun all the same to see him return and do his thing. And Ben, what did you make of his return? Misses 4 games. You know, he said after the broadcast that the sprained right foot he thought was worse. So he was so happy that it wasn't worse than expected and that he was able to come back and do his thing and only miss a week of play. But it was Joel doing Joel things. And I was so glad that the ball wasn't sticking, bro. I was so glad that they were still moving it and sharing it as they had done successfully in these previous games that they had won, getting everyone involved. And it was a team effort, even though Joel led the way. Other guys notched 20 or more points, Shake Milton, Tobias Harris, George and Yang. So it was one of those nights where everybody got involved. They get a big win over a viable team, and it just continues to push them toward being more and more games over 500. Here you are, 3 games over 500.
My takeaway was Embiid came back and looked pretty good. I know he had a little bit of a rough shoot night when the game first started, but the whole team did in the beginning of the game. But he did what he wanted out there. Even he was beating Clint Capella off the dribble, backing him down. He had his way with him from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And even when Clint Capella beat Embiid to spots, there was nothing he could do to stop Joel Embiid. And as you mentioned earlier, the ball did move around. That was great to see. And it's a point that you, me, Noah, Amy have all made on this podcast, and Amy and Coach have made on the pre and post game show, that when the ball moves, this team plays so much better. And I've been under the belief in the past that when Embiid's not moving the ball around, it's because he doesn't trust his teammates. I think it shows right now he's trusting his teammates, and that's a great thing to see play out. And I hope it continues to go as this team continues to play stiffer and stiffer competition. Another thing I noticed, and Embiid has said it, it's hard for him to get in game shape when he's not playing games. You and I aren't pro athletes. We could talk about running on the treadmill, riding the bike, just being moving and active. But when you're not playing basketball at a high competitive level, practice is one thing. But if you're not playing games, you can only do so much to be in game shape. So I know it could be tough at times for him to carry the load in offense and carry it on defense, but I'm intrigued to see how his overall health and his physical abilities, his gas tank goes moving forward.
Yeah, definitely, bro. And Cleveland, the next game up, will show some of that. You know, they got a formidable front line with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And I'm the type of person that, you know, I'm like a show me type person. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. And the way that Joel Embiid was moving out there last night, the way he was, you know, like you said, incorporated with his teammates, I'm fully optimistic that they continue on this winning trend. I will be really curious how things happen when James Harden gets back in the lineup, and not even Tyrese Maxey. It's more like a James Harden thing because he tends to dribble the ball to death. And sometimes that does mean a lot of guys are standing around watching, although his assist numbers are high because he does draw, you know, double teams and finds the open man and does have some slick passes. It's not as the ball doesn't move as frequently when he's out on the floor. And I think that's the thing that I'm most interested in seeing. But let's just stay in the here and now and enjoy what we've been seeing with the 76ers, because a lot of people, as we haven't had a podcast since before the Thanksgiving holiday, I hope everyone out there had a great holiday and is enjoying this holiday season. But a lot has happened since our last podcast, and Joel coming back is the culmination of it with, like I mentioned, another historic night for him. He pours it in, you know, to this 30-point outing last night. But it's been the other guys that have stepped up and filled the void that have led to them winning, you know, 4 out of the last 5 with, you know, sweeping the Orlando Magic down in Orlando. A tough loss against the Charlotte Hornets, but still they continue to rack up the wins here. And were you surprised by the way the guys stepped up with Embiid not out there? Because I wasn't optimistic that they would win as many games as they did with him out, but it just shows that basketball works best. That the game is a team game and works best when everyone is getting involved. Everyone gets a touch. You know, you move the ball around, you find the open shooter, and you know, get it to guys who are hot and things like that. So I think the Sixers, you know, did a great job showing their determination. And I know you don't want to do it, man. Got to give a little credit to the coaching staff too for making it happen. Doc Rivers and company.
Oh, well, I guess, yes, I can give credit to Doc Rivers and the coaching staff. When you said, I know you don't want to do it, that's not where I was going. I was actually going to go with, because you know you called me the president of the Tobias Harris Hater fan club. I was going to start with Toby. How good has he been this past week, Daddy? He's been phenomenal. He's been everything the Sixers needed. A straight, what's that one Spider-Man villain? Not to turn into a geek real quick. The Chameleon. Just whatever the Sixers need, he's turned into that. High-low basketball, backing people down, spot up threes. He's been doing it all this past like week plus for the Sixers when they didn't have their 3 best players on the court. Catch and shoot jumpers, driving to the basket, facilitating. Tobias Harris has been everything the Sixers needed for the past week plus for the team. And it's been nice to see. I know you and a lot of people in the office, big fans of him, and being a leader off the court, which I never questioned, but him doing it on the court and helping his team win 4 of the last 5 games without those big star players playing has been great to see.
Yeah, nah, bro. And quietly in between this stretch of wins that they had, he survived a 1 for 7 and a 1 for 9. So a 2 of 16 shooting stretch in back-to-back games from 3-point land. Like that kind of got lost in the malaise of the winning and, you know, him playing well, of him having this horrible stretch of shooting from the 3-point line. So that in and of itself speaks to how well he's been playing and what he's been doing for the team. And so many people want to make such a big issue about how much money he makes and what he does for the team. And he is the even keeled, you know, glue for the team and their mentality. And he's the consummate veteran and the presence that this squad needs in a lot of situations to survive some of these injuries to these star players. You know, you're without Harden, Maxey, and Embiid, your top three scorers, and they still go out and take care of business in a spectacular way and an exciting way against, some of these teams that they're facing who definitely were coming at their neck and smell blood in the water. So it's interesting to see how they respond. And I'm so encouraged by the way they responded without those big time players in the lineup that I just hope that it all continues to work in their favor when those people come back. So give Tobias Harris a lot of credit. I mean, he, like you said, it was a couple moments there against the Magic where he had the shimmy shake Jordan, back to the basket, fade away going and all types of stuff. So it definitely, if you missed it, it was some good basketball and fun basketball to watch, because that's what you come to see a lot of times is those crisp passes and quick ball movement and the dunks and the 3-pointers and all that is fun. But it's the incorporation of the selflessness that you kind of come to enjoy that creates some of those opportunities that we all like the dunks and the open 3-pointers and stuff like that. But Tobias Harris is one thing, bro, but Shake Milton, my goodness, just coming to answer the bell. And this is a dude who was theoretically in mothballs at the beginning of the season. I think he had played like 5 minutes over a stretch of games where it wasn't even 5 minutes of relevant time to start the season, but he is ready when his number's called, steps to the plate to get it done. And we're going to have to start calling him Malik, like lose the nickname. Like, this is Malik Milton out here, the adult in the room, it looked like, for this stretch of games with Harden and Maxey out.
Yeah, I had Shake on the list among several other players that just really stepped up while the Sixers' big three have been down with injuries. Let me give you some Shake, or as you said, Malik stats for you, some Shake Milton stats over the past 5 games, averaging 22.4 points per game.
Give it to him.
Talk about 50, 40, 90, 60, 52, 90 shooting percentages, 60, 52, 95. That's with 6.6 assists to games, the 3.2 turnovers, and 6.6 rebounds. Shake has been balling. I think he's earned enough to not be the 11th man on the bench, as you said, like he was mothballs. Like, I thought his time here in Philly was all but over, but he shows like he can play some sustained minutes for a long amount of time, and he deserves to be higher up in the rotation. Some people might question his basketball IQ, some of the things he did, because we thought he would be what Tyrese Maxey is doing. We thought that would have been Shake Milton, but Shake shows he can do it. And I used to always question if he can carry the load, if he could set people up while also initiating the offense, scoring his own buckets. But he showed he can do it for over the past 5 games, which I have loved, just getting him out there with the right players. And if he continues to play at this, like, watch out.
And I think his play over these last 5 games validates, some of the decisions they made as an organization to let Charles Bassey, Isaiah Joe go, because if Shake Milton is sitting at the end of the bench and not getting burned and then can perform like this, like, how would you even expect to see a guy like Isaiah Joe get valuable minutes or time or opportunity? There just wasn't enough, room for players like that, although they've had success elsewhere and shown that they can play, and many Sixers fans knew that they could play and could contribute to this team. For some reason, it didn't work out, and they weren't the favorites, or weren't getting the burn. Charles Bassey over Paul Reed, or Isaiah Joe over Shake Milton. But it shows that Shake is the kind of guy that we remember that 39-point performance he had against the Clippers when Doc Rivers was still in LA. And I don't even know if we saw shades of that, because he was super hot shooting that, having that 39-point performance a few years ago. This has just been consistent, strong basketball and great decisions. And I know this other guy is on your list of people who have stepped up. It was really the Milton and Melton backcourt that started this run of strong play for the Sixers, because them together has, Melton being so versatile and able to do, various things on the court has made it an opportunity for Shake Milton to do the things that he's great at, because Melton can more adapt. You mentioned chameleon. He can adapt and be, what the team needs. Milton's, scoring and assisting. Milton can be, locked down on defense and making threes, or vice versa. So I think it's just really cool to see, the opportunity arise. And I'm almost, they have Milton on contract for another season, but I'm almost sure that they won't be able to keep him around because of the dollar he will demand on the open market when he becomes a free agent, because it might just, you can't pay Maxey, Harden, and Embiid, and then a guy like Milton and Tobias Harris. It's just not enough money to go around unless they want to be the Golden State Warriors and be way above, the salary cap.
Paying more in the luxury tax than they are in salary. Right.
I'm almost sure that they won't be able to keep him around. We'll see, how things play out. Thankfully, he is under contract for another season. But what a great player and a great pickup and a great scouting job of the Sixers organization to identify a player like that who they bring in the fold and pays off, your investment right away like that.
The Sixers currently have the third ranked defense in the NBA, and that's big part because of DeAnthony Melton. He has 16 steals in the past 5 games.
Top five in the league.
Outstanding. And when he's in the starting lineup, pairing him up with PJ Tucker, offensive contributions aside, and not scoring, but winning, like that it's a nightmare for opposing teams because they can switch, they can move their feet. They're locking people up, and if they're not being locked up, they're slowing them down. So what you said, like keeping all those guys and paying everybody money, very unlikely. But for right now, what DeAnthony Melton has contributed to this team has been outstanding. Like if someone I'm gonna get to later, we'll both get to later, if they could just add on offense, like to have those 3 guys out there on the court at the same time would be phenomenal. Another guy I've watched as the Sixers were playing without Embiid, Harden, and Maxey, George Niang. And before I get into it, George Niang, do you think Kate Scott, her Mike Breen, because his call is bang. Kate Scott has called him Bang Bang George Niang, which I like. I wonder if people call him that walking down the street.
I don't know anybody who doesn't like that.
Yeah, Bang Bang Niang. But knockdown 3-point shooter. I remember watching him in college, and wow, I didn't realize how long ago that was. Way to make me feel old. But Niang is shooting 44.7% from beyond the arc on nearly 10 attempts a game, 9.9. Oh, in 36 minutes. He is deadly. He knows how he spaces out the floor. He knows that's his role. So even when they're not falling, having that ability to space out the floor, giving Joel more room to work. Harden, when he's playing, more room to work. Maxey, more room to work. It's what this team needs. He's had an offense run through him in college, Iowa State, long time ago. But Niang being so effective from beyond the arc, and he's still shooting 56% from 2-point so far this season. He's been phenomenal over these past 5 games, and it's so nice to see.
Excellent point, bro. And it's so much fun, watching him play, but also he brings this attitude and fiery nature. We saw him against the Nets, going nose to nose with Kevin Durant. We saw him, smacking Ben Simmons' hands off of him. We see him amping up the crowd, getting, yelling. And it just is interesting to see how he's just kind of been incorporated into this Sixers fandom and the culture of sports here in the Philadelphia area. And getting back to the Kate Scott thing, that's a fight. Like that's her own, invention of the Bang Bang George Niang. And I hear people say that, when I'm watching the games, maybe at a bar or, even in the content room at work, you hear people say it, when he makes a 3, if it's just bang, bang or Niang or something like it really has caught on really well. So props to her on that. But he also had a cool quote that's floating around the internet, and I don't know if anyone has seen the clip. And if you haven't, just basically saying how much he loves being a part of these Philly sports culture and how crazy it is when the teams are good, and how he is thankful for how much love he's gotten from the fans and how much, opportunity that he's had here. And he's able to perform and give the fans what they expect. And, he really appreciates the blue collarness of the city, how he feels like people can relate to him as a player because they're like, oh, well, I can do what that guy's doing out there because he's not super athletic. He's not like, skywalking or playing above the rim. He's just, finding angles and hitting open shots and, catch and shoot threes. Oh, yeah, he's 6'8". So you really can't do what he can do out there. But at the same time, he embraces and absorbs the relatable nature he feels like his game and how he plays, brings to the Sixers. So it really, is going to be a key part of what they do in the playoffs, the spacing, like you said, him making open shots. And he's what you wanted, guys like Furkan Korkmaz to be, and the consistency that he brings. You mentioned he's shooting 10 threes a game, and his percentages are really great. And like you said, like I said, he brings that fiery nature, the attitude, and that intensity. It's just a perfect, mixture of his attitude and his play on the court. So that's a great example.
My last player that I've watched step up, which everyone a year ago wanted to see a lot in the playoffs. We weren't getting as many minutes, but we got to see him a lot recently. Paul Reed, B-ball Paul.
The hustle.
Yes,
man.
some of the. You said what?
The hustle, man.
The hustle.
Yeah.
The Philly, the city, the fans. We will always love you for hustling, but I think he's learning patience on offense. They expect him to be Nikola Jokic is never going to happen. He's never going to be that player. But he is at times a decent playmaker, whether it's setting the screen for Furkan Korkmaz, the dribble handoffs for Niang. And it's worked at times. And when it doesn't work, you can see the reactions. So I think he's growing in that aspect. Over the weekend, he had 18 points and 5 assists over the weekend. The Sixers went on a 42-17 run with him in the game. He is improving, and I think improving a lot. For 1 point on Sunday, he played 15 straight minutes. I'm like what I've seen out of Paul Reed. I think Doc Rivers and the coaching staff should stick with him for longer minutes in the game and just deal with some of the growing pains on offense, because defensively he's a better option than Montrezl Harrell right now. And I think he might be catching him on the offensive end.
I think they need to figure out the happy medium and continue to work on when Reed is in there, when Harrell's in there, when they play Tucker, how that front court rotation works out. And Paul Reed is one of those guys that I think a lot of the fan base wanted to see more of, but the coaching staff wasn't as high on him. But whatever he showed them in the playoffs, they've been able to parlay that into what he's done this season. So I really think that the point of Reed being out there and getting opportunity is like paramount. Like, you get rid of Charles Bassey, who has shown out in San Antonio and done some impressive things. You got to pay off the whole investment in Paul Reed. And I think that we're getting to see that. And it's been enjoyable to watch. I mean, like you said, the hustle points, the second chance opportunities, the blocks, him just being a catalyst for things that happen out there is a lot of fun. And I think the thing that with Harrell and him is like, they're like two sides of a coin. So I'm not opposed to when Harrell's out there, and I'm not opposed to when Reed is out there. But once again, which we can get to in a minute with our last topic, is talk a little bit about this coaching staff and what they've been able to bring out of some of these guys. Is they have to push the right buttons at the right time. And I hate that, their job is incumbent upon that, because there's so much more involved in that. But the detriment the team receives when they don't push the right buttons is colossal. So yeah, there's a lot more to coaching than putting, the right player in at the right time in a playoff game. But you just have to make the right choices, and they have to pay off, and the team has to win. So we're just at a point here with the 76ers where they have to get over the hump and move beyond what they've been doing, and go further in the playoffs. An important note we want to pass along. Please, opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope, and humanizes the disease of addiction. Download the new season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. And then I mentioned the coaching staff. They're doing what they should at this point. Bring in the best out of what they have. Give Doc Rivers and company some credit because, okay, yeah, they're down Maxey and Embiid and Harden, but that 3-guard rotation has worked well when Maxey was in there and Harden and Embiid were out. They lose both Maxey and Harden, and they have this Milton and Melton backcourt that really, pays dividends, and Tobias Harris leading the way as like the veteran presence. Like you mentioned, the interchangeability with Harrell and Reed. So far, that has worked out really well with PJ Tucker being in and out of the lineup, Joel Embiid being missing. The coaching staff deserves some credit.
Yeah, they deserve some credit. And Danny's laughing like
the reluctance.
It's not reluctance. It's
the reluctance.
Maybe I've been here before. It's a quarter of the way through the season. So I think the Sixers are above 500 team a quarter of the way through the season. Rarely do you see a team change who they are past 20 games into the season. Doc Rivers and the staff has pressed the right buttons. I would like to see them continue to press the right buttons. And I don't want to sound like that old man that we all know, whether it is Danny. I think from talking to you outside of the podcast, it sounds like it's your dad, the show me when it counts type guy, show me in the playoffs. Right. I don't want to sound like that guy. Right now, they're doing what they can against the competition they're facing, and it's working. So I am happy to say that. Does that suffice?
That works. That works. Just heaping a little praise on the coaching staff because it's not all this doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like it has to be taught and coached, and you work on it in practice, and you change the scheme a bit. They've been using the zone effectively on defense. Like you got to give them some credit, and particularly with the way Doc Rivers has been on the hot seat at times and the criticism he has received. But let's transition to what I don't know if this is I don't know, but Matisse Thybulle. Well, I don't even know where this will go, but it seems to be that Matisse.
It's time to move on, Danny. It's time to move on. He
doesn't do enough of the things you would want from someone who's supposed to be a 3-and-D guy, and you see, guys like Milton, come in, and even Paul Reed to some extent contribute in more ways. Like Paul Reed doesn't have a great jump shot, but he contributes in enough ways that you don't regret at times the minutes that he's out on the floor or even forget that he's out there. Milton's super versatile, does a whole bunch of things. Maybe he doesn't have an immaculate touch in the paint when it comes to like the floater and things like that, but his 3-point shot is so sweet. Obviously, we talked about the defense, and he can, jump and get above the rim, block shots, and some of those things Matisse can do, but you just don't see it enough consistently to be able to enjoy and relish the time that he's on the court. So you feel like it's time to move on from Matisse?
It seems time to move on. I know people were hesitant to put him in packages with Ben Simmons when the team was trying to get rid of Ben Simmons, and other teams were interested. They wanted Matisse as well. We thought Matisse could develop, and it just hasn't happened. That postseason last year, scored 3 points a game, a rebound, less than a steal, and less than a block a game, 0.8 steals, 0.8 blocks per game. I know he's young. He's only 25 years old, but hasn't been much offensive improvement since he's been in Philadelphia, since he got drafted. So far this season, Matisse Thybulle has appeared in 17 games. He's played 10 or more minutes in 8 of them. He has played under 5 minutes 7 times and twice for less than a minute. In those cases, he only entered the game as a defensive possession at the end of the quarter. At this point, it might just be time to move on, cut your losses, averaging 11.4 minutes a night, putting up 1.6 points per game, 1.2 rebounds. he's averaging more fouls than steals and blocks combined at this point, and he's shooting 29% from the field and 20% from three. I know he had a nice drive and left-handed layup last night, but he's not playing much, and with the emergence of D'Anthony Melton, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid being a defensive anchor, I'm just not sure there's really a lot of options for Matisse right now, game in, game out. He's a defensive specialist, but a completely zero on the offensive end. So maybe they could just put him in a trade package to get something else back, a better two-way player.
Yeah, I think he has value. I think they will move on from him at some point because even a guy like Daniel House, George Niang as well, like even they've given more to the team in their minutes. And a guy like Daniel House who's so new here, but still you can see, the versatility of, running the floor and, dunking the basketball, finishing strong, hitting occasional three. In his limited minutes, you see what, a 3-and-D player can be. And he hasn't been spectacular, but at the same time, he's been useful and resourceful for the 76ers. So I just want to see Matisse. I like him, and I want to see him thrive. I drive by that mural on Front and Girard sometimes and see him, on the side of the garage, and I'm like, it was so the heights of Matisse. It was when he first was here. It was so much love and adoration for him, and he became a quick favorite among so many people here in the area. But it just hasn't turned into what you would hope because game just hasn't developed as much, and maybe which is a classic sports scenario, is guys benefit from a change of scenery. So maybe a change of scenery would do him good. I feel that way about Furkan Korkmaz at times, where I feel like a change of scenery where he's, required to do less maybe or just a new opportunity, a new group might make things shine better for him. But that is besides the point. Matisse, I would see the Sixers benefiting from trying to find a good trade partner for him. And he was a first-round pick. He has overachieved a bit, but at the same time, it's just you're not getting what you need from a player like him, particularly when there has been opportunity here with several players hurt and injured. So it's just you haven't seen the development you would like from him on the offensive end, and that is frustrating.
Very, very frustrating. So it just makes me wonder, I know why the Sixers held on to him, hoping that something could happen moving forward and he would develop, but it hasn't happened. So I think at this point, just cut your losses before he walks away for nothing in the offseason or when his contract is up.
Big test for the 76ers coming up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That will be fun to watch. We will join you on Thursday to talk about it. We will be live from Rivers Casino on social media channels as well as YouTube. So make sure you check us out then. And hey, you can also come out and be with us at the casino and heckle us or egg us. Maybe not egg us, but
please don't egg me. Thursday at noon, right? Thursday at noon we'll be there. You, me, maybe Noah, Tom Finer.
Hey, we want to mention before we go, if you are injured for over 70 years, Lundy Law has been your #1 personal injury law firm in PA, New Jersey, and Delaware. Their services are exemplary. Their results are exceptional. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW to get the money you deserve. And come check us out, Rivers Casino, right on Delaware Ave at noon. We will be there, and we hope our guy Noah Levick, wish him a speedy recovery as he bounces back from a little illness. But anything else we missed, Ben, before we go?
No, happy to be back on. Took some time away, some downtime. Sixers are on a roll. Happy about that. It's good to be back, yo.
Hey, it's good to be back. December is coming. We're here in the holiday season. Appreciate your loved ones. And, we hope you're really feeling the spirit of giving, because we could use it out here in this world community we are a part of. But for Ben Berry, I'm Danny Pommells. This has been the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. Wilmu Works. We'll see you next time.